Alright, let's check out the MOZA M2P throttle panel and takeoff and landing panel. So we'll start off with the good stuff. Alright, sweet. Just took this out of the box. This is the MOZA M2P throttle. And first kind of impressions is, usually I've been using the Thrustmaster Warthog throttle, if you guys are familiar with that one. And this is kind of a direct competitor with that one. But my first kind of impressions and surprise is that this is actually a lot bigger than I expected. It's much wider than the Warthog throttle. As far as heaviness, it's not that heavy. It is definitely made of, looks like majority plastic here on the exterior casing, and the bottom, the throttle itself, also made of plastic. So it's pretty much all plastic from what I can tell. Definitely all the switches are plastic as well. And you can actually feel the plastic feel, and I think that's how they're gonna probably keep the price down. So plastic is not a big curse word to me. Like I'm okay with developers making things with plastic as long as it's a nice durable plastic, and I feel like that's exactly what this is. Pretty nice durable plastic. So yes, and then honestly the throttle though, which is important, that's what you're gonna be touching the most, is the throttle here feels pretty heavy. So you can tell like there's definitely some sort of metal interior and construction. There's actually a detent right there. Oh, that's actually sick. So this is all the way to the back. Push forward, detent there, and then I think that's the only one. Yeah, just one detent, I believe. There's another kind of click right here. So I'm not sure if you can adjust where that detent is, but it feels pretty nice. If I press this little switch in the back, I should be able to unlock the throttles. Yeah, there we go. Now I have two separate independent throttles. Very similar to how the Thrustmaster Warthog works. And then you should be able to put them together, flick that back, and boom, now you can control both very easily. But yeah, obviously all plastic kind of build, but especially the throttle itself feels a lot heavier. Like it's like a lot more going on here. But the actual axis, which is also one of the most important parts too, is that it's very smooth. And these little flap switches, which normally you would use, for, yeah, so you can push that back. When you push it forward, like that. Okay, there you go. So this allows you to go back into basically engine cutoff. So you press these two paddles here up, you can go back a bit farther. So right there, that's as far as I can go back with the paddles down. Push the paddles up, I can now go into basically the engine decrease or the engine shutdown, and then you go forward. Now I'm a little concerned, I guess if you hold this up here, you won't feel any of those detents there. So that if you hold these in the back, that basically gets rid of all the detents still here on the bottom. But you do have to be careful you don't go too far back and end up back in the engine shutoff. So I'm really concerned about that part, to be honest. But you can see these are actually spring loaded, the springs right here. But there's a lot of buttons on this thing. Let's start from the base here. So we have a USB translate, which I assume is probably how you connect this to another MOZA product. Got some base, some screws here for mounting the base, I assume. And then we'll go on the left side. On the left side, we have our left gen battery, right gen. It's basically it's set up to work like an F-18 throttle. Now, obviously, you can fly anything you want with it. I always tell people when it comes to throttles, this one is definitely targeting DCS and combat sim. And if you're playing that type of flight sim, or honestly any flight sim, the more buttons, the better, in my opinion. And so I think it's actually plenty of buttons for you, and you could use these generically or it could be specific to an aircraft. So right now these are mostly mirroring a F-18 Hornet, and so if you're flying F-18 Hornet, you should have all the buttons you need. I'm really hoping that also these will be automatically mapped in DCS, and I don't have to map them myself. I hate mapping buttons myself in DCS. It is so inconvenient. Anyway, so we'll continue. We got FLIR here, 3-stage switch for FLIR, 2-stage switch for the laser target designator, laser search, two-stage radar with a few different stages there on the switch. Same thing with their INS alignment. So pretty much everything that's kind of most important to you is on this throttle. You also have a probe extension for aerial refueling, and then we have our formation lights. which have a bunch of stages here for lights. Position lights here. Then we have our strobe, interior lights, inhibit lights, rudder trim. Oh, that's actually nice. And it actually presses in too. We have a rudder trim reset or a trim reset here. You got your min max. I'm not sure what, oh, you know what? I think this, I'm not sure what this does, but I'll probably use this right here for a camera. Usually I have like some sort of axis like this to allow me to zoom in and out the camera. So we'll try that. And then on the throttle itself, you have all of your thumb switches here. So you have like this, I don't think this is an axis. I think it just has multiple kind of clicks around in a circle. This goes up and down, plus forward and back, and it does press in. This one presses in the well. This one is, yeah, this one's kind of like a forward, middle, and it doesn't stay in reverse. So it's probably used for, I would assume, the speed brake, something like that. Then you have this button here, and then we flip it around, and you can see you have a axis. I actually like it when they put axes up here. It allows you to see, I usually use this for my radar, so I can do my cursor slew very easily. Then you have a couple buttons here for your pinky. Then you have this little button here, which is kind of like a spring loaded, so you can push it down, it goes back to center, push it up, go back to center. So you probably use this for like zooming in and out on the radar, most likely. No click in. You do have this pinky switch here as well, which goes forward, center, and back. Has a nice click to it. And I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, first impression of the actual throttle itself is it does feel pretty good. I like that it has the finger lifts to like go into you know, into engine cutoffs. That way you can start the engine here, and then once you want to start the engine up, you go into flight idle or ground idle, and then you turn your engines on, and then you have the rest of it here. But again, it's very smooth axes, so I'm mostly concerned with the smooth axis. This is the most important part in my opinion, because when you're doing air-to-air fueling or formation flying, you need to be able to be as precise as possible. So important, and I think this is going to work just perfectly fine for that. But there is more. Check this out. We also have the MOZA MTLP takeoff and landing panel, and this actually screws right onto the throttle. Has your landing switch, which you actually do have to pull out to go up and down. It's pretty cool. You have a launch bar. Oh man, I cannot wait to fly the F-18 in DCS with this thing. Landing lights. Again, everything's plastic, but again, fairly durable plastic. I don't feel like I'm gonna break this in like 2, 3, 6 months. You have a jettison switch. I mean, all these are super helpful to have. I'm not sure how, you know, into DCS you guys who are watching this are, but like when you're in a crunch and you need to do things quick and fast and efficient, having like it being able to just reach down with your hand and do something like, for example, the launch bar or jettison. Like jettison usually is a pretty emergency thing, right? So you need to be able to access this easily. You also have your emergency brake, which pulls out. Oh, that's cool. Does it turn? Does it turn? Tell me it turns. Okay, cool. So you press it in, it turns, and you can pull it out. Oh, that's sick. That's sick. Okay. All right, there it is, all put together, and I'm telling you, it was so freaking easy to put this on. Now, these are sold separately. You have to buy the takeoff landing panel separate to the throttle. I won't be surprised if there's a bundle in the future, but I can't confirm that right now. But basically, all I had to do is plug in literally 2 screws that do come in the box right here, and then boom, they're together. Like super easy. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, again, much bigger than I expected, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. But when you put it all together, it's kind of like the dream throttle, honestly, for people who like flying the F-18 specifically. Now again, you can fly anything you want with this. You can map all this stuff to be specific, but it's obviously modeled to be similar to the F-18. And the F-18 Hornet is actually one of my main jets in DCS. Not sure how well it works in Microsoft Flight Sim with their F-18 Hornet or any other you know, combat or flight sim, but I know for DCS it should work. So we're gonna go ahead and take this over to the sim. We're gonna plug it in. Again, hopefully everything is mapped. Now this is an early access build, you know, thanks to MOZA, so it's possible that it might not all be mapped to begin with. A lot of times it happens when I get new products that are kind of like experimental. DCS has not yet updated their software to support the MOZA software, so I'm hoping it does, but I do know that it will link directly to the MOZA software. Speaking of that, this little Ethernet cable that they gave us, you could actually plug this Ethernet cable from the throttle, either piece of the throttle, straight to your MOZA force feedback base, and your base will actually power the throttle. You can kind of daisy chain it like that, or you can just use an independent USB and do it that way. However you want to do it, it is completely fine. But yeah, I cannot wait to hop into DCS and try this baby. This might be my new go-to throttle if it works, so we shall see. All right, we're holding short of the cat here, and the guy is telling us to put our launch bar down. So it's my first chance to actually do that. So reach up, hit the launch bar to extend, and that'll extend our launch bar. Wait for his signal.